Hello everyone, in this video I'll be walking you through 5 of my favorite and 5 of the most common GoPro mounts. So let's get into it. Alright, now the most common mount you'll see is probably a chest mounted one, just like I have right here. So, as you can tell, there's a little buckle on the side, that just comes undone. Then, you slip it on over yourself, which can be kind of difficult to do. Grab it around the back and just buckle it up, just like so. Now, to mount the GoPro to it, just take this little screw, unscrew them. Slide the GoPro in. A little tip for this is to do it upside down, because if the GoPro is mounted up like this, your footage will look like something like this on screen now. Yep, you don't want footage to look like that, do you? So, I like to mount the GoPro upside down. So you take the GoPro, and in the settings should be a little upside down or flip image. Do that. It should be run. This one's flipped upside down for the GoPro image itself. So I like to take 3 fingers and put them under there, like that. So it's just about three fingers. Just put them under there. Put the GoPro in, and I find slipping 3 fingers under there is a pretty good setting. So you can get nice POV footage just like this on screen right now. Yep. Chesties or chest-mounted POV cameras are pretty cool, aren't they? They look really sick, by the way. It's probably the single most commonly used mount in the world, like globally. All right, let's move on to the next mount. That's the most common one, so let's go move on to the second most common mount. Alright, now, another commonly used GoPro mount, besides the chesty or chest-mounted camera, is probably going to be a helmet mount. So whether your helmet comes with this, or you put the sticky mount on by yourself, basically, just slip the camera in there. I like to angle it about like that. You can always have a friend check the angle of this before you begin riding, because you'll be surprised how far downward you need to point this. So just screw that in there. Have a friend put the helmet on, get in your bike in your normal riding position, and have a friend check if the angle looks good. Also, pro tip is you're gonna need to torque these down relatively tight, because just torque these down pretty much as tight as you can get them without using any kind of tool. Because if this hits like a low branch, it's gonna get bent back like that, and that'll just be aiming at the sky, right? So we do not want that. Just put it down just like so. Have a friend check the amount of angle there. See if it's a good amount of angle whilst you're wearing the helmet and riding your bike. Alright, let's move on to the next camera mount. The footage from these helmet-mounted cameras, or helmet cams, is relatively good, actually. It's quite high up. So it's at if you have a Hero 1 or something like I have here, no built-in gimbal, nothing too fancy. It's a really good camera nonetheless, but this does not have any stabilization footage, so the footage will be relatively choppy if I do anything chest-mounted over technical or rough trails. So, the helmet just kind of acts as a gimbal, so while you're riding along, the helmet stays relatively smooth because it's the highest point on your head. So therefore, the footage is quite high up and gives a good overview of the whole entire trail, not necessarily what's under your tires currently, but just what's up ahead, coming up the next 10 feet. Really good camera for a follow cam too, by the way, because it's so stable. Alrighty, this is one of my favorites. I use this mount a lot. It basically made Shred It 2 what it was. I then made a brief appearance in Cent 5, which you should check out if you have not already. So basically, you have a little mount like this. You undo these screws here, which takes a lot of screwing, as you would expect. I then just mount this onto your handlebar, which I will do in a moment. Pro tip is, I like to add some spacers in here, as you can tell I have already. Just tighten those down as hard as you can without using a tool. You never want to use a tool with any of these, because you might not be able to get it undone. So do that. Go put it on my handlebar right now. So just put this on. Set the camera down. This can take a lot of screwing, just so you know, so be prepared for that. Let's see. Here we go. So be prepared for that. This works as a great follow cam for smooth conditions. It doesn't do too well on rough trails because since it's mounted to your handlebar, it'll be receiving a lot of vibrations that your shock absorber or front fork does not soak up. So just put this on here like that. Also, a pro tip is to don't mount it too close to your stem, because that's where your bar is gradually getting wider, so they cannot get a good grip on it. Instead, mount it out closer to your shifter and brake lever, or your handlebar is a bit thinner and a bit more grippy, if you know what I mean. Your handlebar is nice and flush here. You don't want any like varying diameter or anything. So just try to get it nice and tight. Of course, don't over tension anything. Good rule of thumb is get it nice and snug. This will rattle loose, and you don't want your camera to fall off and lose your GoPro. So get that nice and tight. And now you just undo this clamp. Stick the GoPro in. You have some options here. You can aim it down a little bit like so, it gives you some. It shows your tire while you're riding if you want that revolving tire in your shot. Or you can do what I did and shred it too and move it up like this. The camera's pointing flat along here. This will give you good feedback riding, say maybe something 5 feet in front of you. This gives you good POV of that. Personally, I like to run it just like this because I do not like having the tire or any cables in front of the bike here in that shot. I'm just going to put it up just like this, tension that down, and we are ready. Now, what I mean by not putting it over here by your stem is because if you look from the top, the handlebar continually gets wider. So as it's getting wider, there's not going to be as much surface area for it to grip onto. So I like to put it out here where it's nice and predictable. See, it's not getting wider or thinner. But here, since it's getting wider, the camera will not be able to grip on as much because, say, this side of the mount will be wider, this side will be narrower, so the camera will get loose and fall off easier. So put it on just like that. Looks pretty clean. Next mount will be just like this, but the camera reverse. So let's get into that. Okay, so the handlebar mount, just like so here, gives you nice feedback of the trail in front of you, but maybe you want some footage of you riding, like aimed back at your camera. The camera aimed back to your face. Hope you can understand that. Said it kind of wonky, so I apologize for that. So basically, you're going to take the mount just like you have it here. You don't want to adjust that any, because now that you have the mount in place there, just take the camera and flip it around. I don't really have a tip for the angle here, but you want the lens generally pointed at your face. So if you're doing some downhilling and riding further back in the bike, you're going to want to aim the camera further like this. But if you're doing more climbing, more over the front of the bike, you're going to want to tilt it a little more this way to give you some good feedback of your face. Now you can see on screen now this is a pretty good camera. As long as things don't get too hard, it really shows you reacting to things. Just a really, really good camera mount. So it's on. You've left the actual mount in place where it was on the handlebar for the previous handlebar mounted camera, but as you can tell, it's just aimed back at your face. So if you're here riding, that'll get some good shots of you reacting to things out of the trail. As I said before, just play around with how if you're far back in the bike, aim it just a little more like that to get some feedback, you be way back over here. Or if you're doing some more climbing and you're over the front of the bike, just tilt the camera back like that. Alrighty, now the last but definitely not the least camera mount here. So you're gonna is what I like to call the down tube cam. So you get yourself one of these mounts, just a little Velcro thing with a plastic plate on the front of it. Just like this. Then you're gonna want to stick the GoPro in it. If I can get it in. Like this, okay? Then just screw that in. And then just for now, we just want the GoPro to be on there. So I will give you some further tips on mounting this once we get into the nitty-gritty of it. But for now, you just want the GoPro to be attached on there, just like that. And now we're actually going to take this whole unit and strap it underneath here, just like this. I'd recommend doing it so it does not interfere with your front chain ring, if you have more than one of them. But just put it just down here, just like this. Thread that Velcro through and Velcro this on nice and tight. This gives you a good feedback of the trail, what's directly under your tires. Works great with helmet cam because you can get feedback of your suspension moving on the trail underneath you, and the helmet cam can capture the overall scope of it. Now, this next part is up to you. If you want to aim it up like this, you can get some feedback of when you're braking. It'll go up and show where your fingers are when you use the brakes or not. And it'll get some good feedback of footage of your suspension moving, if you have a suspension. So a good tip for that is just line the camera up. You want the camera to be flush with the down tube, same angle as that. Or if you want more feedback of the trail you're under currently, I like to put the camera and make sure it's vertical, up and down. The back of the camera is vertical. That'll get feedback of your front tire, a little bit of your suspension if you have the GoPro set an extra wide, and it'll get great feedback of the trail. It's just right under your front tire. This is a really good camera. You can see some shots of it on screen now with it aimed up, showing the brake levers. And then pretty soon I'll cut to another one with it just level. This is a really good camera mount, and this is one of my personal favorites. Just a pro tip with this, when you are doing it, you do not want to get mud or dust on your camera lens because that will gunk up the image and kind of make the image look all blurry and fuzzy. So if you're riding really muddy or dusty trails, just check that lens. Just wipe it off every now and then. But other than that, this is a really, really good, flawless camera design. As you can see there, the GoPro's mounted down to the bottom of my bike, pointing at the tires. Now if I wanted to angle this up a little bit, so that's level with the down tube. As you can tell, it is now aiming up. So you'll get a good shot of the suspension moving, and then me using the brakes.